One of the most memorable meals I ever had was dinner the night I graduated from seminary. So this would have been like May of 2012. And I was living in Arizona at the time. Megan and I were living in Arizona. Just finished, or was on an internship at a church down there. And went back to Berkeley, went back to California to graduate from seminary. And my parents came out from Fargo. My brother, who was living in Moorhead at the time, came out and graduated from seminary with my classmates, some of my best friends and colleagues. And then we had planned to go to a place called Skates by the Bay, and it's this seafood restaurant just right on the water, right on the marina down by the San Francisco Bay. And so I think we had a reservation at like 3:30 or something like that that night or that afternoon, and that time of celebration, the people who were there, not only my family and Megan, but we joined together with classmates and their families. And then when the classmates' families, when they needed to go, when they wanted to get going, we just moved to a different table and kept ordering some different appetizers, trying different things. More friends would come in and they'd join in. There was a incredibly generous and wonderful family, Steve and Mary, who they were congregation members at the congregation I was at in Arizona. They came up for to celebrate the graduation with us, and they came and we ate, and I bet we had I don't know, anywhere from 20, 25, 30 people kind of cycle through in the time we were there. And we looked down at our watches after we were through, and it was almost 10 o'clock. We'd been there for 6.5 hours or so. And I remember some of the food that we ate. Some great oysters, some shrimp cocktail, all kinds of different great food there. But what made the dinner so wonderful was the celebration and the people. It was the people who were there to celebrate. And so when we talk about Maundy Thursday and we talk about this Last Supper, we talk about the meal that Jesus shared with his disciples before he was arrested, where he gives us this beautiful reminder of who he is and what he did for us in this bread and wine. That it's a reminder that it's not only about what we eat, but it's about who we're around the table with, and it's about what we're celebrating while we're there. So one of the things that I would challenge you to do is, if you're watching with someone tonight, share a memory of one of the best meals that you've had. One that sticks out in your mind from whenever. It could be last week, last year, or 10, 20 years ago. What's a meal that sticks out in your head, and why does it stick out to you? Because my hunch is that it's not necessarily about the food that we eat, but it's about who is around that table, and it's maybe about what the occasion is that we're celebrating. And that's really what Maundy Thursday is about. That's really what the Last Supper is about. It's not only about the bread and the wine and the food that was being eaten, but it's about who was around that table, and it's about what was being celebrated. And every time we gather around God's table, every time we gather around the altar and the communion rail, and we partake in this meal, which I cannot wait until we can do that again, we not only remember it because of the food that we're eating, the bread and the wine, but it's about who is around that table with us. And it's celebrating the goodness, the grace, and the mercy of God who gathers us around that table. Amen.